Hi, welcome to Scribe Studio. I'm Mark Walker. I'm here with Paul Varley.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for coming in today.
Sure.
Paul is Director of Product Management at Scribe, and we thought it would be a great idea to put together a little video that went over some of the new features we added in our August 2013 release of Scribe Online.
Yeah, we've got some great things to share with you today.
Terrific. So Paul's going to walk us through those. Starting right off our release notes here, the first feature we want to talk about is a change to the way you can save maps.
Absolutely. So you'll notice that I've already logged into my Scribe Online account and I'm looking at my organization here. I've got a couple of solution instances. The first one's called Congressional Leads, so I'm just going to drill into that one. And you'll see that I have 3 maps in there. And if I open one of these maps, and you'll notice that down here at the bottom, there's a new button called Save Map, whereas before you used to have to exit out of your map and save your solution instance. You can now save that directly from the map.
That was a user-requested feature,
Absolutely.
Right?
We had many requests for this, and so now it's there.
Terrific. Should also point out that if you make some changes and you don't want to save them, you can just click Cancel and it will dump all your changes, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Now the second thing we have on our list here is refreshing metadata, which is a subject that is very near and dear to my heart.
Right. This is another usability improvement that we made. And you'll notice that there are new buttons here called Refresh Metadata on both the source and the target of my basic map. In the past, you had to exit out of your map and go to the Connections tab to refresh metadata. And so that workflow was very cumbersome when you're working with a source or a target that may have changes to the metadata. Now those buttons are on the map screens, both for basic maps and advanced maps.
Okay, terrific. And then next on our list, we have showing what fields are mapped.
Right, so let me look at the Fields tab, and you'll notice that on the source side, there's a new column with these links in it, and that shows me which of the fields that I'm working with I've already mapped to the target side.
Okay. I think people will find that really helpful. Can you show us what it looks like when you map a field?
Sure. So if I wanted to, say, map city to city, and I drag that over, it will then show up in the top in alphabetical list at the top of the screen.
Yep. Now I've played around with this a little bit, and I really like the ability to see what fields have been mapped, but I like my field order to stay in the alphabetical order of the field's name, and I don't want the priority sort to be on the what fields have been linked.
So, and you can do that too. All you have to do there is click on the name column, and it'll go back to sorting everything alphabetically. It still shows you which fields have been linked on the left-hand side. It's just not sorting by that column.
The default sort every time you open the screen is going to be the leftmost column. But it's just one click and you can switch. I prefer to use it in the second mode, but I just thought I'd point that out. Okay, thanks, Paul. Next, we have a new function called CSVLOOKUP.
Yeah, this is a really good one. In the past, you had lookup tables that are available through the UI, and you had to enter all of your mappings. You could use those in your maps. Starting in the August release, we now have the ability to use an external comma-separated values text file as a lookup table. And so, for example, here I've got one of my fields that is using one of these lookup tables. It's referring to a text file called 113th Congress.csv, something I downloaded from the internet that has all the members of Congress and some basic information about them, name and address, that sort of thing. And you'll notice that I've got a couple of different things in here, and of course there's all help on this function that explains how it works. But basically I've got my file name, I've got the name of the column that I want to look up the value in. Then I have the value that I'm looking for, which is a primary key value out of my Salesforce account. And then I have the name of the column that I want to get back, which is, in this case, it's members of Congress, so it's what party are they affiliated with. And then it's going to basically take that information out of that external text file and populate it into my map, so that now I'm taking something from an external source, really almost like a separate connection, and using that to augment the data coming from my source and putting that in my target.
I can imagine that would make things run a little faster as opposed to doing a lookup in a target.
Yeah, that's absolutely one of the use cases. You can cascade maps down so that you can go out to your source, get all of your mappings between two different fields, write them out to a text file within your agent folder.
So you can maintain the text file using a map.
And then on your subsequent maps, you can refer back to that text file. So it's almost a fairly dynamic way of working with the data. That's a little bit different use case than what I have here, which is I've just got some external data file.
More or less static.
That's fairly static.
Changes every 2 years.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Or unless there's something going on.
Yeah, and just to show you what that file looks like, to give you some visual, you can see I've got a number of different columns in the text file that I downloaded, and I'm referring to these last two columns at the end. The K column has the unique ID for the representative, and then the L column has the party. So I'm doing the lookup on the K column and the value from the L column.
So a little extra work maybe to set up the lookup, but it could gain you a lot of performance when it comes to actually doing the lookups when your maps are running, because you don't have to do that lookup across the wire. Say you were looking up that information in your source or your target connection, now you can look it up in something that's local to wherever the agent is stored.
And it really helps especially with bulk operations. Because the agent is looking these things up locally, it doesn't have to go back and forth between the source and
and it
target.
actually can cache this lookup table in memory.
In memory,
right? So while we're on it and the subject of the agent and the lookup, let's talk a little bit about where this file needs to be located.
Yeah, excellent point, Mark. So the file has to be located in the data exchange folder of your agent. So this really only works with on-premise agents, because you don't have access to the file system when you're working with a cloud agent.
Good to know. All right, next we have some feature that we can show when we're in an advanced map, and this has to do with some new capability around some of the control blocks.
Yeah, so you'll notice that my third map is an advanced map. It's very, very simple, and really all I've done here is I've put in a group block just so that you can see this expand and collapse. So this is a small map, but if you had a big map with many different operation blocks, you would be able to group those things together and then collapse the ones that you're not interested in looking at right now and only open the ones that you're working on.
Just makes it a little easier to read. And it looks like a couple of the other control blocks have the little, I don't know what we call that control, a twisty?
I think of it as kind of a carrot, you know? Like
all right.
But I'm not sure what we call it in the documentation. That's an interesting, I guess, an exercise for the viewer.
I guess I'll have to read that and find out, yes.
But yes, the for each child and the loop blocks also have that same little carrot that allows you to grow and shrink the block and what's inside of it.
Right. All right, next up we have a few features that have to do with map management. And if I was to sum these up, it seems like they have to do with being able to, the way you select maps and how many you can select.
Correct. So we now allow you to select a subset of the maps in your solution instance. So let's say I might want to select these 2 out of the 3 maps in my solution instance. That's useful when you want to, say, duplicate them or delete them. It'll only operate on those selected maps. It also comes in handy with the export and import, because we've changed the way those functions behave. Prior to the August release, it was really an all or nothing exercise. You were exporting all of the maps in your solution instance, and when you imported, you took the entire contents of the export file and you replaced whatever was in your solution instance before.
Yeah, removed all of them.
And it would just get rid of whatever was there before. Now there's a lot more flexibility. The export button will now only export the maps that I've selected. So let's say I wanted to export these and call my export file to maps. And so now that file is only going to contain these 2 maps. And then when I go to import, I might select that same file again, and you'll notice when I do that, it detects that there are maps in my solution instance that have the same name, and it gives you some choices about what to do. You can replace the one that's there. You can say, oh no, I didn't mean to do that, and it'll let you do make different choices for each of the maps in the file.
It does this matching based on just on the name of the map, right? Not on any contents of the source or target.
It's not analyzing a lot of details there, but so it's up to you to know what you're working with, but it gives you the choice of how you want to do it. You can even keep both maps if you want and just have different names. If you're not really sure which is the one you needed, you could keep them both, look at them, and then delete the one that was not needed.
Terrific. Okay, well that's it for the new features that were in our August 2013 release. So Paul, I just want to say thank you for coming in and spending a little time with me in the studio and helping our our viewers and our users learn a little more about Scribe Online. So thank you for spending some time with us as well and for watching Scribe Studio. So check it out, another video next time to learn more from our experts.
All right.
Thank you.